Let's talk about domestic, the economy before we wrap things up. The major planks of your job plan: lower taxes, both corporate and marginal rates, and reduce regulation. Explain how that would be different from what George W. Bush tried to push through.
Well, let me describe, actually, there are 5 things that I believe are necessary to get this economy going. 1, take advantage of our energy resources, particularly natural gas, but also coal, oil, nuclear, renewables. That's number 1. Huge opportunity for us. And doing so is going to bring manufacturing back, because low-cost, plentiful energy is key to manufacturing in many industries. Number 2, trade. I want to dramatically increase trade, and particularly with Latin America. Number 3, take action to get America on track to have a balanced budget. Now, those 3 things, by the way, are things which we have not been doing over the last few years, which I think are essential to getting this economy going again. Number 4, we've got to show better training and education opportunities for our current workers and for coming workers. And then finally, what I call restoring economic freedom. That means keep our taxes as low as possible, have regulations modern and up to date, get health care costs down. These things will restore economic freedom. So my policies are very different than anything you've seen in the past. They're really designed for an America which has some new resources, energy being one of them, trade with Latin America being another, and the need for a balanced budget now more urgent than ever before.
And when Mitt Romney arrives in Washington, how will Washington be any different from the Washington we've seen these past few years, which any American will tell you is hopelessly broken, busted?
You know, all I can say is that I got elected governor of a state that was 87% Democrat. And it was not lost on me that if I went around attacking the Democrat leadership, I was going to get nothing done, and none of my vetoes would be upheld. And I began a relationship with the Speaker of the House and the Senate President that was personal. We respected each other. We often disagreed, but we found common ground from time to time. That has to happen. There has to be a president that buries the hatchet and says, we're going to go to work to try and get America on track. We're at a critical time in this country. If we keep going down the path we're on, we're going to end up like Europe, or worse. It's time to have leadership that will put aside Republican and Democrat and instead focus on what's necessary for the nation. I'm willing to do that. I think others in Washington have recognized the need to do that. I see hopeful signs. We're going to finally get America on track again. I recognize that there's some things Washington and the law can do, and there's some things the law can't do. What we can do is remove the impediments for free people wanting to build enterprises from having the capacity to do so and going to work to hire people and putting people back in good jobs. For me, this campaign is overwhelmingly about getting more good jobs for middle-income Americans, getting them rising incomes. When that happens, they'll have more money to buy the things they want to buy. That helps the economy. They can pay more taxes with higher incomes. That gets us to a balanced budget. We're at a point here where we have 2 different roads we can go down. One leads to Europe. The other leads to the kind of dynamism and prosperity which has always characterized America.
Europeans would argue we were Europe before there was Europe back in '08, that we went first, of course.
Well, there's no question but that the collapse of our housing and our financial system was what precipitated the trauma that you're seeing throughout the world. What has made it last so long is the improper decisions made over the prior decades, where nations abroad and nations in the United States borrowed far too much money and put themselves, if you will, at the brink of a precipice. And when something came along that caused them to slip, why, it's hard to stop the fall. I understand what it takes to get America back on track. We've dealt with some of the tough things that needed to be dealt with. But we're unfortunately not headed in the right direction. $1 trillion deficits, massive increases in regulation, proposals to raise taxes on job creators, small businesses in particular. These things will make it very difficult for America's economy to create the jobs we so badly need.
And